Is it possible to create a cup or little bowl from clay in just one day? I mean, from digging the clay over forming the vessel to firing it in the campfire? We will see. And by the way, I will show you a fantastic trick how even beginners can form a wonderful thin-walled little drinking cup. So stay tuned. Hello YouTube! Welcome to another Swiss Army Knife project video. Today's topic is primitive pottery. So my goal is to leave the forest before it gets dark with a fired, waterproof, self-made drinking bowl. I will make this bowl with clay from just around the corner. To increase my chance of success, I will make 3 drinking bowls and I hope that at least one of them is watertight. So let's start. First of all, I craft a digging stick for harvesting clay. With uncleaned clay I form a ball. I will need this ball later as centerpiece to form my vessels. For each of the 3 vessels I want to make another ball. I put them on a stick because like this I can transport them easy. With the center bowl I go to the fireplace where I want to fire my cups later. I start the fire to dry it a little bit. It doesn't have to be totally dry. The surface has just to be a little bit harder than fresh clay. Back at the trunk, I start to clean the clay for the vessels. I squeeze and knead the clay in small portions between thumb and index finger. Like this, I'm able to feel disturbing particles like little stones or pieces of wood which I remove. Hair roots I pull out as good as possible. And yes, it need to be time. It took 45 minutes to prepare the clay for the 3 little drinking bowls. Every 5 or 10 minutes I turn the center ball a little bit for an even hardening. Now I carve a flat area on a hazel branch. This will serve as slapping stick. Before I start to form the clay, I need some plant leaves as separation layer. After an hour next to the fire, the center ball is hard enough. Now I flatten the cleaned clay into a disc and press a slight hollow from the center outwards with my fingers. Shaping the clay with the slapping stick has the advantage that the clay gets more compact. This technique works just perfect also for pottery beginners like me. Like this, it's super easy to form a wonderful thin-walled vessel. Try it out, you will be excited. Now I cut the clean rim with my Swiss Army knife. Once the leaves are removed, you have a great base for a nice little bowl. With just some fingertips of water or silt, I try to round up the rim and to flatten some bumps. In a short time, I formed 3 nice bowls. Now I have to carefully dry the vessels next to the fire. First with a big distance, then I move the bowls closer and closer to the fire. It's very important that the bowls dry as even as possible, so I turn the bowls every few minutes. Because the rim dries always first, I regularly moisten the rim with a little bit water on my fingertip. Before the clay has dried out, I would say when it's leather hard, it's important to polish the bowl on the inside and on the outside with a stone. This stone needs to have a very fine surface. Polishing the surface, compress the surface, give him a slightly shine and make it more waterproof. After almost 2 hours of drying time, the bowls are very hot. I decide to place the containers on the hot coals. With the knowledge from now, I would decide different. I guess you can imagine what happens now. The vessels were obviously not hot enough. After the second explosion, I rescued 2 bowls from the embers. They were damaged, but they don't had an obvious crack through the wall. Just one bowl was totally destroyed. Luckily, I had another unfired bowl in my backpack. This was the one I made few days ago to try out the forming technique with the slapping stick. That's why you can see 3 vessels again. Before I dart to put the bowls on the hot coal for the second firing attempt, I let the bowls heat up next to the fire for 1 more hour. This time I was successful. Unfortunately, I forgot to film how I put the bowl on the hot charcoal, but you can see them under the firewood pile. So my friends, after all this hard work, now the moment of truth. I test if they are watertight or not. Well, and this is for sure not watertight. I'm so excited. It's absolutely amazing. 2 of 4 bowls are absolutely watertight. Unbelievable. Wow. Hey, and I like the simple design. I like the colors. And I like the idea that I made something what will last hundreds of years now. Amazing. So let me make a little conclusion about this project. First of all, I want to say, yes, it's possible to make a watertight cup or drinking bowl with clay just direct from the forest. And you don't need a lot of experience, just watch this video. And as I already said, I took the clay direct from the forest. I took small portions, kneaded it between my fingers and took out stones and hair roots, and this worked well. My technique with the clay ball as center, as core for making these bowls worked extremely well. I was able to craft 3 thin-walled bowls in a super short time. With this coil technique, forget it. I would never be able to craft such thin-walled bowls, never. And if you have a little piece of plastic foil instead of leaves from a tree as separation layer, this would simplify the project again. Polishing the bowl with a smooth stone on the inside and outside when the bowl is almost dry, compress the surface and make the surface more watertight. And it gives the surface a slightly shine. I like this effect. For sure, polishing is not as effective as a glaze, but nevertheless, I'm sure polishing is super important. The drying and firing process is, in my opinion, the most difficult step if you want to make a bowl. This was also the step I made wrong in this case, because you have to preheat the bowl as much that if you drop a drop of water on it, it should make tsh, and this was not the case. And that's why some flakes split it off. Next time, if I make such bowls or cups, I will take much more time for preheating before I put them on the hot coals. But all in all, to make such cups was one of the most fascinating projects I made in the last years. As I said, I came in the forest with just a Swiss Army knife, and now I go home with 2 working drinking cups and a Swiss Army knife. That's fantastic. The inspiration for this project came from a video about prehistoric pottery from Huntsman. The link to this video you find in the description box below. So my friends, that's it for today. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and see you next Friday. Ciao!